What up, what up? Welcome back to the channel. I'm IJ, and this is episode 5 of For Life Season 2. Now, the last thing we know is Mr. Aaron Wallace left Jasmine and Marie because he felt uncomfortable that she used to date his old friend. But we're going to get into that a little bit later. First off, shout out to the notification gang. If you're new to the channel and want to be a part of this, hit the subscribe button, turn on your notifications so you get something every time I upload. But hey, you know me, I'm not going to hold you up. Let's jump right into it. This is For Life, episode 5. Starting off the episode, Aaron's out shopping for a new suit. You know, he has to get a new wardrobe. He's been out a little bit. Marie gave him some suits. But as a man, when you go out to buy your suits, you got to go out and buy what is for you. Somebody may give you something like a shirt or accessories or something that you can wear, but getting your suit, that's you. That's who you are. You know what you want. While he's there, a beautiful woman, she's talking to him. She's trying to help buy the suits. She has a conversation. She starts asking, oh, did you start a new career? You know, did you lose weight? That's the only time people usually buy a new wardrobe. Aaron jokes about, yeah, I just graduated law school. Does it look like it? So she's like, oh, no. So you could tell that she's kind of flirting with him. But Aaron, he's not really with that. He just left Marie because he felt uncomfortable about what happened. But there's women out here and they're looking and they're checking for him. So for Aaron, he has to realize, what am I moving forward? What am I actually doing? Am I going to stay with Marie, try to work it out, or am I going to move forward? But he has a busy day ahead of him, though. Later on that day, Aaron heads up. He meets with Jamal about his case. Now, when he first gets there, Jamal asks him about, well, how's Marie and the family going? And Aaron really doesn't want to get into it. He just tells him that I don't really feel comfortable staying there because she slept with my friend, you know what I'm saying, my boy. And Jamal's trying to explain, like, hey, man, you can't hold that against her because you were in here. But Aaron's like, man, I don't really want to talk about that. Let's talk about your case. So with Jamal's case, Aaron tells him, I went and talked to somebody that lived in an apartment that said they seen you go down to the, to the courts where the guy ended up getting killed a couple of days later. And Jamal's explaining, oh, I just went down there to talk to him and tell him, hey, don't be, pushing around my sister. What Aaron says, what we can use for your defense is, you said something about your father abusing you. If we can say that the guy triggered you to remind you of your father, then we can use that as it's a snapping point, saying something mental, which made me kill him. Jamal's like, I don't know about that. But Aaron's like, man, this is what we got to go on. So Jamal's like, hey, I trust you, big dog. You the lawyer. You know what we need to do. So let's make it happen. Jasmine and Marie, they have an interesting relationship. They both love Aaron, but it seems like Jasmine's trying to do everything she can to make it work. She's already went against Aaron's mother. So for her, she's like, Mom, we need to make this work for Dad. He's been locked up. He's home. He was innocent. We need to make this the most comfortable for him. Now, when Marie comes in, she's asking Jasmine, hey, before you go take AJ over to his other grandparents' house, could you sit here and talk to me a little bit? And Marie's like, talk about what? Dad moved out. I have all the information from him. Pretty much what Jasmine is hinting at is like, you're moving Dad out. You slept with his friend. You brought his friend in here. You pretty much didn't believe in Dad. So that's where the split comes. Jasmine is, I'm with Dad. Marie wants to be with Aaron, but it was just, he was locked up. So I can see both sides. But as a kid and you see your parents going through this, you just want them to be together. New case alert, new case alert. I'm going to do that every episode so you know that this new character, we have a new case. Well, Henry's out hearing what she has to say about what happened. It turns out she was going to ride a train. She paid for a ticket, but she hopped over it because the thing didn't open. When she hopped over it, a cop came out of nowhere and grabbed her, trying to say that she stole a ride. But the cop starts trying to arrest her and put her in handcuffs. But what she does is she pushes off. She uses her skateboard because he started twisting her hands. So all she was doing was trying to explain to the cop, like, hey, give me a ticket, a fine for this, and I can show you that I paid for, I have a proof of purchase. That didn't happen. So she ends up getting arrested for it. So Henry's telling her, okay, but this is your second offense because she got into a nonviolent, altercation during a protest. Her public defender told her that she should just plead to it because if she tries to fight it, she already has, a misdemeanor on her file. So if she was to be found guilty, she could be deported. So Henry's trying to break this down and figure out how we can use this so I can relay it to Aaron and have Aaron take over her case so she doesn't get deported because she actually paid for her ticket. Aaron meets up with Jamal's sister to try to ask questions about what happened with their father and why they were abused because that's the way he's going, the route he's going. And she starts to explain, oh, I don't really want to talk about it because you sound like a therapist. But Aaron's saying, I need this information. So what she says is, her and Jamal are 14 months apart, and the father used to abuse her. But one day, Jamal stepped in, and ever since then, Jamal's been the target of attacks. The father would always attack Jamal. So for Jamal, I can see as a man, you don't want to talk about that, being vulnerable or being abused as a child because you're a man now and you shouldn't let that happen. And a man shouldn't do that to a child. So I can see where they're coming from on this. But the sister finally opened up to Aaron, which this should be able to help him out, man. Hopefully it does help him out. You see this a lot, but sometimes it doesn't work. Like that was too far ago when you were younger, and so we're gonna see how this angle plays out. Henry starts to give Aaron the information of what happened on this new case. And what he's explaining is there were some cops that were at the train station. They don't work with the transit police, they're their own cops. But what they do is 10 to 15 minutes before they get off of their shift, they'll just arrest somebody for something petty so they can do the paperwork and get overtime. Now, if this doesn't show you crooked and what cops do, it is like, man, what the? So if they can prove this in court that he just arrested her just so he can get some overtime, then oh yeah, this case is gonna be thrown out. Now that's interesting. I didn't know anything about that, but I guess police do some weird things. We get to see Marie and Ronnie interact with Ronnie's family. Now they're over there getting ready for Christmas and they're playing a little game where it's a category. You pull it out and you got to name the person for it. And Ronnie's parents, they're killing it. I'm talking everything she's pulling out. She said the golf player, Arnold Palmer. They're getting everything right. And after this, they talk to Ronnie and they're just joking around. They're like, once you've been together for 25 years, you'll start to know each other this well. And then the dad makes a joke, oh, Ronnie, we're just smarter than you. So Marie's looking at this and she's looking at this family like, this is what I want. My parents together, us having around, having Christmas and doing things like that. So this is the black family we don't get to see on TV. It looks like they're pretty well off and they have a good, saying a good son. He's taking care of his kid. So Marie, she's sitting on the couch looking at it like, this is what I want. This is what I want. I want my family to be together and raise them as a family. And Ronnie's parents, they've been together for 25 years, so that's a good look. Good luck. Now, Paola, she's the one that's in the new court case about going against the cops and trying to steal a ride. Now, her parents are meeting with Henry and they're just talking it over. And the parents, they're like, hey, man, we don't, maybe she should just, saying plead guilty and let's just take the fine. Because if we go against the cops, there's a potential chance that she gets deported. And if she gets deported, we're still here. There's nothing we can do for it. Like we'd have to go back because she won't be able to come here. So you could tell that the parents they're really nervous about going against the cops. And Aaron already mentioned, I don't really want to go against the cops and make them look bad after I've already done so much against the police and getting my case overturned. But Henry's like, hey man, we could definitely get this case. And Aaron, you gotta elevate your stature. Like you're moving your way up. You're becoming a big time lawyer. These are the cases you need to take because you're the one that can get them off. Dez, he does everything by the book. Whether he likes it or not, he's going to do it by the book. Now, the representative for the police officers comes in and he's pretty much going off on Dez. Like, look, we put in all this work to get Aaron locked up. We did that case just for you to let him go. Don't do the same with this. Just because Aaron is representing this young lady, she was wrong. We cannot let this go. You already let one go. So Dez, he's like, look, we're going to continue to do things by the book. What are you here to protect your cops or are you trying to obey the law? Because that's what you're supposed to be doing, making sure the law is upheld, not just making sure that your cops are good. So for Dez, he's like, yeah, we're going to go ahead and let this one go to trial because if the lady is innocent, then she needs to be innocent. There's no other question about it. You're potentially deporting a woman for something that she didn't do. Jamal's sister pulls up to visit him to talk about what Aaron went over with her. And long story short, Jamal's like, listen, the cops are going to get you up there on stand and they're going to ask you about everybody you know, everyone that hit you, every reason why you went back to the people that were, saying assaulting you and abusing you. And Jamal's like, I don't want you testifying because what they're going to do is try to break you down to keep me in jail. And I don't want that. Pretty much putting you through all the drama and stress that I had to go through. I'm not, I'm not about to let them do that to my sister because I have to protect you. Even though I'm in here, I'm still going to watch out for you. So Jamal's like, listen, you're not going to testify and I'm not going to testify. Call Aaron and tell him that. Now, I know Jamal is Aaron's boy, but at the same time, this is his sister. Now, if he has to stay in a little bit so his sister doesn't get messed up or screwed over in court, then that's what he's planning on doing. But he doesn't want his sister to be dragged in any of this. Today's Henry's big day to practice law. He comes back in, but he freezes up, has to let Aaron take over. Aaron takes over and starts questioning the cop. And he starts asking about his jurisdiction and how he doesn't work for the train station. He can only chase, saying criminals if they're doing something going into the train station. Aaron points out that he wasn't chasing his client and he arrested her 14 minutes before the shift was over. And what Aaron's doing is tying this in that you did this 3 times this week and you arrested 2 people last week. So that's 5 times, and this is about 96 hours of overtime. So what Aaron is doing is saying that all these cops are just arresting people at the end of their shift, regardless of what they did, so they can clock overtime for the holidays. Now, what Aaron wants to do, and he asked the judge, can I subpoena the New York records just so I can see how many cops are actually doing this? Because as of right now, we only have him. And the judge is like, I'm not going to do that for you. So Aaron's like, that's the only way I can prove this is what's happening. But the judge is like, I'm not going to subpoena the records for you, but you got 48 hours to figure out what you're going to do with your client. So now the clock is on and Aaron's got to work. It's time for Henry to make up for what happened in court. Aaron told him after it, just because you messed up in the courthouse doesn't mean you can just throw in a towel. This is your case. You need to figure out how to get somebody on the inside, a cop that's working there or someone retired. Henry goes back to where he got sober at, and he's talking to one of the leaders who was once in the police force that once said, hey, I regret a few things that I did while I was in. So Henry tells him, I'm a defense lawyer and I have somebody that potentially could be getting deported. I would definitely need some help. Have you heard dollars for collars, like dollars for cops? And the guy's like, yeah, may have, but I don't know if I really want to get up there and talk about that. Everything I spoke about here was in confidence and confidential. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want anyone to know about how I felt. That's just between us and me getting sober. Here goes the turning point with Jamal's sister. So she ends up calling Aaron and telling her that she was abused again. So now Aaron's like, okay, is there any support that you can call? Is there anywhere you can go that you can be safe? And right now, she's just emotionally distraught. So for her, this is the changing point. We know that this is going to be the reason she has to testify for her brother to get him out. And so she can have protection and a different place and be away from everything that's going on. So it's unfortunate that this had to happen to her, but this is the turning point in the case that could probably get Jamal out by the end of the season, hopefully. And we know Aaron's going to do his job. Now we have a big issue. The lame PO officer, we won't even give him a name. We're just going to call him the lame P-Knuckle PO. You know what I'm saying? He called Aaron's office twice last night, but we know Aaron was out trying to help Jamal's sister. He called twice. He drove by Aaron and he answered. Aaron wasn't there. He comes and arrests Aaron at court. This guy's whack, man. You know what Aaron is doing. He's not doing anything illegal. Everything he's doing, his whole life is built around these cases. And he comes and arrests Aaron in front of everybody, humiliating him. This man got his life together. He just got free from prison. This one little probation is ruining everything. But Aaron's like, you know what? All right, hey, take me in. You know what I'm saying? We'll figure this out. But this PO, his bosses, they definitely own him. They are on him. And I'm sure that the cops are rolling over into PO like, hey, stay on top of Aaron. We can't have him making the force look bad. Henry finally makes up for what he messed up. He brings Mr. McClin on the stand and he starts to testify about how he was a sergeant and he would approve overtime hours. Now, he says if one of his officers arrested somebody for jumping a turnstile where they had no jurisdiction 15 to 20 minutes before it was time to get off, he would tell them, get out of here with that. I don't want anything to do with that. So that's good. But once the DA, they started to cross-examine him, they asked him, have you ever worked there? Is there any way to say that you know this officer and say that he's trying to take overtime hours? And he's like, no. Henry has an outburst. It's like, let him finish talking. Let him finish talking. Henry's assistant comes in with a note. And on this note, it says that there are several other cops that are willing to testify. Now, the judge, she pretty much dismisses the case, but what she does do is open up a subpoena to check the police records to see who's all clocking overtime and arresting people wrongly. Dez is in the back, and Dez is waving his hand to the DA like, oh, 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 oh. So the case is over, but it doesn't look like Dez wants them to open a subpoena up into the New York cop records. So Henry, you made up for it. You made up for it, brother. Aaron and the PO, they sitting down there talking about how Aaron wasn't at the house and how he's trying to help him out. They start having a little back and forth. But what the PO says to Aaron is, you're acting like a teenager. You're pushing away the two people that love you and you're sleeping in your warehouse. Well, look, here's the stipulations of what we're going to do. This is a wake-up call for you. Every night at 9:59, you're going to FaceTime me. I'm also going to enable GPS on your phone so I know where you're at all times. Aaron is like, man, what the is going on, man? I really got to FaceTime you at 9:59 every single night. They really cracking down on Aaron. They don't want Aaron to do anything. But, I mean, that's how the law is. They set up to keep you down, man. But we know Aaron's going to bounce back from this. Aaron and Henry meet up with Spencer about taking the court case and potentially facing deportation to prove that the New York Police Department was wrong. So Aaron is like, hey, we got to do this because you're about prison reform and keeping people that are wrongfully accused out of prison. So he's telling Spencer, like, we got to take this case. After that, he meets with Jamal. And this is where these two, they start to hit heads. Aaron starts telling Jamal about what happened with his sister and is telling him this is what's best for you and your family to make sure you're good. But Jamal's like, look, I've known you for 9 years and you've always talked about making your family right, getting home, but you bailed on them. So for Jamal, he's like, listen, you need to take care of your family first before you start worrying about taking care of mine or telling me how to take care of mine. And Jamal storms off. So for me, I can see where Jamal's coming from. He's like, look, man, I don't want my sister to go through all this crap just because they're going to be attacking her to get at me. They know if they can hurt my sister, then it's really going to hurt me even more because I'm going to have to stay in here. But Aaron, you need to get back with your family, make that right, and then worry about my case. Don't tell me about family when you're not doing it for your family. So that's where we leave the two gentlemen off. I don't know how it's going to play out, though. There we go. Episode 5 of For Life. Comment below what you think about the case. Do you think that Aaron and them are making the right decision about facing deportation to keep her out of jail? Let me know. And I think that the New York subpoena, that's going to be the big end of the season case. Either that or the Jamal case. Let me know which one you would rather see, the New York subpoena or the Jamal case. But hey, I'm Mo.J. Thanks for watching. Be here next week for episode 6. If you like the content, man, I always say subscribe, like, and share. Thanks for watching.
Jimmy on the beat, boy.